kind of dreams did you have, Logan?
Oh dear.
Pay us any money, but it's really good.
Hello and welcome to Pinkbike HQ here in Squamish. We are here. We just got back from 2 weeks down in Arkansas, Bella Vista, and Bentonville, testing some of the finest e-bikes on the market. And today we're getting supernatural, or at least that's what the marketing copy says. We are talking about the Specialized Turbo Levo 4.
Four. Yeah.
4.
I'm gonna run us through the details on this one. The Levo 4 is essentially the electric version of the Stumpjumper 15, which is kind of a common trail bike you're seeing around these days. And it's got 150 millimeters of rear wheel travel, a 160 fork. This is a mixed wheel only bike, unlike the non-electric version. And it uses specialized in-house motor and battery system that they developed with Bros. It has a very large 840 watt hour battery and their own supernatural motor tune, which is like their own flavor of things. But as to how that shakes out on trail, we will get to it later. The bike also has a ton of adjustments. You can change the BB height, the chainstay length, the head tube angle. The shock is the Genie, as we saw with the Stumpjumper. So that means the main air chamber is really adjustable, volume and fuel-wise. The ramp up is also adjustable. There's a lot of things you can change on this bike, but ultimately, how does it ride? We kind of dug down into that, and I think it is a trail bike, but as to how well it does that job, it's got some peculiarities, I would say, compared to some of the others on test.
First of all, it's a big, comfortable bike, at least the size we rode. And I mean, all the bikes were kind of within the same size of one another on our field test, but this one felt big. Like, to me, it just felt...
It's long. It comes with those big old 55 mil rise bars.
Yeah.
It's kind of a chopper. And I would say that we went through all the geometry permutations to try to curtail that feeling.
Yeah.
And we did succeed in getting it to feel a bit more balanced, but ultimately, like, the front and rear of the bike don't feel as well balanced as some of the others. Just plain and simple.
Yeah, and I think maybe partially a lot of that feeling comes from it's a bigger battery and a lot of the weight feels very forward in the bike. It does have a toolless removable battery, which is kind of known to add weight, especially kind of forward in the frame.
For sure.
And I think that is quite noticeable on this. Like that weight higher up as opposed to down by the bottom bracket area just makes it feel a bit more like topsy-turvy.
There's like a sensation when you're turning the bike that where like you want to be driving it through your feet to get a good corner. This bike feels like you have to deal with some conflict coming from the front as well. Like there is a hand turning as well as a feet turning, which is, I know sounds like kind of mumbo jumbo-y, but it's it's different.
I felt a lot of understeer, especially when you first get on it and you're not fully used to it. It just felt like the front end had a lot of weight and just kind of wanted to keep going.
Yeah.
And the short rear end, like the balance just felt a bit funny.
It's similar to the Pivot too, where like it uses a lot of travel quite quickly.
Yeah.
And can lead to a funny balance feel as well. Obviously the Genie is quite adjustable, but you'd be compromising how well it goes through rough terrain in order to get more support out of it. So you'd end up with and I tried this, you end up with like a bike that supports you better through the travel, but does a worse job through bumps. So I think where we had it set up primarily was like the best case scenario.
Yeah. And I do think it sounds maybe more negative than it is. I think we're getting a bit nitpicky. And,
I mean, that's our job.
We have a lot of good bikes on test, but it did feel probably the most unbalanced of the lot. It was really the suspension feel is really quite good, I thought, though, from the Genie and the fork. They
make a lot of a little.
Yeah.
We have the Forbidden, the Pivot, and the Specialized are all 150 mil travel. I would say the way that they use that is pretty different. Specialized's concept with a very linear kinematic and a very large air chamber shock allows the bike to use that travel really effectively without bottoming out thanks to that secondary chamber. I think that the sensation there is cool when you're hitting straight edge, rough stuff. It does a good job of just eating it and keeping you going forward. But you compare it to the Forbidden with the high pivot obviously helps. That bike just felt much more capable to me.
For sure, yeah.
I think we should talk about the climbing on the Specialized because to me that's one of the strong suits of this bike. It has, a typical amount of travel for the block here, but what it really comes down to for me is the motor. I think their motor tune and the way that it delivers power is definitely the most intuitive for me.
Yeah, it's also very adjustable,
True.
more so than the others, where, most, the Bosch and the Avanox have 4 modes. The Specialized has a lot more adjustability, and I think there's 10 modes of like incremental adjustability, but it is very intuitive and almost feels like seamless to your pedaling.
I think so. Like if you're creeping up like awkward technical stuff, it's the least prone to spin out. And we thought about building a challenge around that kind of stuff, but it's too unpredictable to like shake out well. But ultimately, like it came up again and again. This bike is really good at those like low speed technical maneuvers. So I think that's a really impressive thing that you get out of this motor that you did not get out of
And
the
I think
others.
the geometry, it's also very comfortable for like seated pedaling.
True.
And like I felt like in a really good position
Well,
climbing.
you got those chopper bars, so you're just chilling up there.
Yeah, big bars.
Yeah, I think it's a mixed bag in terms of the value on this bike. It's the most expensive on test, and that's, you know, value is a hard thing when we're talking about every single one of these bikes being north of 10 grand, but it's worth mentioning that this was the most expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
Though they do have tons of builds, so there are cheaper options out there.
So yeah, it's also the heaviest bike we had on test, and that's partially due to the fact that one, the battery is removable, and it's the biggest watt-hour battery. But worth mentioning, I think as this full power e-bike development goes on, we're going to see them get lighter and lighter, and this one is not on the lighter side of things.
And we talked about weight with the Yeti as well, because it's close. Like it's only like a half a pound lighter than this, but the way the weight is distributed and the way that the bike handles its own mass feels different. I think the Specialized, like as you mentioned, the weight is quite forward on the bike, and while that can help like keep the front end down in a straight line, it gets a little odd when you're cornering.
Yeah.
Where I think the Yeti like distributed it a bit more evenly between the wheels, just by nature of the geometry, and also like, you know, there's some subtlety in like how the suspension helped you like let the bike do its thing while you did your thing.
Yeah.
Livability, I think on this bike is actually a strong suit. Specialized has put a lot of like, they're almost like bike shoppy features, like removable battery, SWAT, storage, it's got an integrated tool, has all of the adjustments. You know, those on paper may seem kind of gimmicky, but I do think that like many of them are materially useful. Like battery swap, if you're someone who either wants to do a gigantic ride where you're putting fresh batteries in, or if you're someone who's like, okay, Monday, I want 1 lap. I'm gonna put a really small battery and keep this thing light and lively. Sunday, I want a huge ride. I'm gonna put the 840 watt-hour battery in. In between the two, you can put some stuff in the down tube. There is real utility to what Specialized has integrated with that, though I would say the compromises in like overall ride feel maybe aren't worth it for us.
It's definitely a well thought out bike. Like they've put a lot of effort into all those features and the adjustability, and it feels very, I don't know, like
Feels like a nice object.
for sure. Like it's
like
nicely
a-
built.
it's
Like,
like a-
even the screen feels like it's like from an Apple Watch.
I was just gonna say, it is like this jewel in
Yeah.
the top tubes. You know, like what it comes down to is like it's a really high-end object, but like maybe lacked some of the performance we found in some of the other bikes. That's the livability, a lot of features, and I would say like a pretty luxurious package, but maybe not all the things that we're looking for. I do think that the smaller sizes of this bike will probably be a bit more balanced feeling, and thanks to the adjustments on tap, you can suit some of the geo to fit your use case. It also has a pretty unique shock that allows you to change the way the bike feels dynamically, and though I think the way it comes stock is probably the best bet for most people, you will be able to play with that and see if it suits you better. Another pro is just all those little bells and whistles that we mentioned, like the hot swap battery, the in-frame storage, integrated tool, all those things are
Adjustability
nice.
for days. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it is a high-end package, so you've got all those things to play with. I think final pro is, it is like comfy at a certain speed. It's just maybe not as high a ceiling as some of the other bikes.
Yeah, and then for the cons, I think the biggest thing for me was the weight distribution, specifically just how long it felt up front and sort of heavy in the head tube area with that short rear end, even with all the tweaking we did. For me, I just couldn't get it to quite feel right, like too much understeer for me, and yeah, just a little bit unwieldy. Other than that, the shock is a bit linear as well, so it kind of blows through its travel.
You can change, but then it compromises other things. So like some of the other bikes allow you to do both, where you can like add compression or support and not lose too much bump performance. But I think with the Genie, it's a bit more like you're either getting a lot out of it through rough stuff, or you're getting a really supportive feel. I think this is a good bike for people who are gonna ride to a certain level. It's nice, like it has nice things about it, but for us on the size that we rode, it just did not feel like it had as much performance on tap as the others. So if you're looking for like a comfortable ride with a lot of nice features, this definitely offers that. But again, just like we can only talk about the bike we rode, it didn't feel like it had as high of a ceiling as some of the others on test.
Yeah, for sure, I agree. I think of all the bikes, this one unfortunately kind of sat lower pack / near the bottom for a lot of our tests. And that's not to say it's a bad bike, but I think we just had really, really good bikes on test.
For sure.
And unfortunately for me, this one was the least comfortable to ride and least sort of confidence inspiring of the lot.
It has its positive qualities, but definitely not the favorite of the bunch. All right, those are our thoughts on the Specialized Levo 4. For all the other bikes, head to the homepage, read the reviews, watch the videos. If you want to see how we tested them, watch the episodes. And then if you don't want any of that, watch Matt and Mike talk about trail bikes somewhere else. Until then, farewell. I mean, I don't know, I'm just here.